We already and remember it's record. It's you can do retakes if you want to.
Bad.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. We ready? We on?
There you go.
All right. Welcome to Bark the Truth. Um, talking to Josias from New York. We want to welcome you tonight to our first platform, first episode. We're very excited. Me and Tough. My name is Cornell from Explosive Kennels, and my
I'm Dion
co-host.
Key from Tough Enough Candles. I'm excited about tonight. We met Josiah about three years ago.
Yeah,
And
it was at an event.
it
You
was
guys
at
had
it was at the on the Corso cookout, and Josiah had a dog Lincoln, and everybody was wondering why he had his dog off
Yeah,
why he
yeah,
had
yeah,
his
yeah,
dog
yeah,
off
yeah,
the
yeah,
leash,
yeah, yeah.
and they thought he should put his dog on the leash.
Yeah, yeah. My wife was kind of like, what's that little? He had that little wooden like a bone type of thing in his hand.
Yeah,
It was
so
trying
he's doing
to,
trades. But
yeah.
Josiah, you introduce yourself for us, man, and let everybody know a little bit about yourself.
sure. My name is Josais Rodriguez from Armageddon and County Corso Kennels in New York City. I'm also a dog trainer as well as a breeder. Um,
Okay. So how long can you tell me how long you've been training and you've been dealing with dogs? With the Connie Corsos actually.
well, actually, I've been around dogs basically my entire life. My father bred Rottweilers, and I started getting into training. I remember I was probably about 6, 7 years old. He got a trainer come over to the house and do some things with the dogs. And, I just liked, dog training since then. I remember cutting up some cheese after the guy left and trying to get the dogs to do the same stuff, sit, stay down. Uh, Ever since then, I was always into dog training. Um, I've had a lot of different breeds, a lot of dogs throughout my life because of my father. But I got my first dog, which was a Corso, about 6 years ago, which was Lincoln, the dog you saw
Okay.
that I was at the event, walking around with a wooden dumbbell.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I just watched you from Lincoln for a long time. I actually thought your name was Lincoln for following you. Before follow your baby, go Lincoln. Let me see what Lincoln. What was the Lincoln? I forget something you had. It was Lincoln something. I thought that was
Yeah, that's the name of the kennel, the guy that produced him, Cena Lincoln.
yes, okay, yeah. I thought that was you. I said, yeah, I said go to Lincoln. I watched you do amazing things with dogs. Watch you come along and it's just been amazing trying to seeing like actually you introduced me to actually you Charles Jakes actually want to actually do something with my dogs, actually get into training. Like you seem like you're a second generation dog man since your father was originally breed Rockwell, my father. So I got something in common with you because my father was actually we used to breed American pit bulls as I
Mhm.
came up. That's how I actually got into dogs. Um can you tell me a little bit how you got into training? Like, do you have any like did you kind of actually already told us that. Well, what did
Well,
you do?
training, I really got into training because of my dog Lincoln. When I got him, he needed training. He needed an outlet, and I was training uh, with some trainers by me out in New Jersey. And then I would train my dog every day across the street from my house, and people would come and stop, and they would talk to me and see me training my dog. And everybody they saw what I was doing with him, and they would ask me to help them train their dogs, and I would tell them no. I would send them to the trainers I was dealing with, but then after a while, I just started helping people here in my area with training their dogs, and then it went from a hobby to just I started doing it, as
Gotcha.
as a,
So now it's a skill, more of a
well, I
skill.
mean, it's a lot to dog training, and I've been doing it for a few years now, and I'm feeling like I'm just really starting to hone that skill and really learn. There's a lot of levels to dog training.
Right.
Gotcha.
So for viewers, just size like tell the viewers like how important it is of I do want to say training a puppy from the time you get it from a breeder, the importance of training. Because a lot of people don't understand how important this is from that first day of meeting that puppy from the breeder.
Well, I mean, the training is training. It's like children, home training. You need to have boundaries. You need to have structure. There needs to be expectations for you know the dog. What was the reason? What was the purpose you got the dog for? Because if you're doing sports with a dog, the training program is going to be totally different than if you just got a dog to be like a family companion, family guardian, or a pet. But regardless, whatever purpose you got the dog for, there has to be some type of a training program. You got to have a vision for the dog, how it's going to fit your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Correct.
So do you think it's important? Because I get to like talk to a lot of people. They really don't know how important it is for the recall of a dog. Because a lot of people they can call their dog 25 times and they think it's cute or think it's I guess they get annoyed with it, but they don't really know how important it is. Like if your dog was going to attack someone, you should be able to stop it. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I tell my clients the recall is the most important command because it could save a dog's life. There's not a lot of other commands out there that could save a dog's life, like the recall. The dog's gonna gets out, could get hit by a car. Like you said, if it's gonna attack somebody, you gotta have control in your dog. You gotta be able to recall your dog because if something was to happen and your dog does hurt somebody, now there's a possibility that your dog could be put down. So that's one of the most important commands for me. I believe is the most important command because it could save a dog's life.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely makes sense.
But I want to ask you, know, how do you get your dogs to pay so much attention to you? Like, because Lincoln, like, when you had Lincoln out there, like I said, everybody was scared, and like Lincoln wasn't worried about nobody but you. How do you like? How can you tell someone how to build that type of bond with their dogs just starting out?
I mean, you wanna that bond what we call is engagement. You want to do some engagement exercises with the dog from a young age. You want to make sure that the dog looks to you. You have to become the most valuable thing to the dog. So when they see you, they just excited to see you. They want to be around you, and uh, if you create that type of bond, that working bond, and you get that engagement with the dog is really not going to be focused on anything else or anybody else. And it's also going to trust you in a lot of different, it might be a crowded area. It might be a new environment. The dog might not feel too comfortable, but if you already established that bond, the dog is going to trust you in your leadership. And it's going to be next to you and look to you for leadership.
Makes sense. Now, how long did it take for you actually to build the type of bond with a dog? Like per se, any of your dogs? I know you got more than one dog, right?
I mean, it depends on the dog. Some dogs they just take to the owner like right away. You get the dog, you do some food obedience or whatever it is. You hang out with the dog, and the dog just wants to be with you. Then there's dogs that are a little more independent. Those dogs, it takes time for the dogs to really, bond with you.
Makes it. Can you give it like anybody like any type of advice you could give just to start? Like you said, just say like a new owner want to build engagement. Like what was the first thing you can give them advice to start building an engagement? Like is it like a tug toy? Is it like is
Well,
walking
I
up?
would say is when you first get a dog, especially a puppy, I would say to do food obedience with the dog for the first. In the beginning, you want to make sure the dog understands like that. Basically everything comes through you. You feed the dog. I also tell people to hand feed the dog instead of like wearing gloves and things of that nature. So
Right.
the dog gets used to you. Your scent. Just they get used to working with you and being with you.
So,
That will help the dog a lot.
so basically, no bows.
Yeah, I would stay away from bowls in the beginning with a dog. I mean, you could use bowls if you're doing certain exercises. You're making the dog go to the bowl because you're throwing food in there and then coming back to you, things like that. But you really want the dog to understand that the food is coming from you.
Gotcha.
It's the same way puppies bond with their mothers because they know that the mother's feeding them.
Got you. That makes sense. So wherever the mother go, they go normally because they know where the food at.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, makes sense to
And
me.
that's a lot of things I see when I'm doing my breeding. At that 4 week period, like how the mother do a lot of corrections, and they look up. You know what I mean? They start to understand. You know what I mean? When she put them
Right.
jaws on them, kind of like you did a boo boo, so
Got
she correct them, and I see that a lot. That's something I learned when I first started breeding.
Yes. So what kind of breeding do you actually? I mean, what kind of training do you actually work with your own dogs? Like,
My personal dogs, I train IGP Shih Tzu. I've had dogs where I didn't trial them, but every dog that I get it with, you know, the purpose is to do Shih Tzu. It's not just to breed; it's to bring them up in a way to see if I feel that they can do it, and I could trial them and put some titles on the dogs.
can you briefly explain what shishin is to people who don't know what shishin is?
Shih Tzu originally was it was a breeding test for German Shepherds. So there's three phases to it. It's a sport now. They do tracking, which is scent work. They do obedience, and they do protection.
Makes and what would the trial be? Like you say, you don't do some trial. What would that be?
A trial would be, they're testing the dog's genetics and your training. Um, Now it's a sport now, so it's more of what I would say it's more of a trainer sport where
Hmm.
it tests the handler and their ability to train the dog. But of course, you'd still testing that the dog has the ability, the genetic natural instincts to do all of the exercises. Um, and I got into the sport, even though it's a German Shepherd sport. And now I have a German Shepherd that I'm starting to train. I got into it because of my Corso Lincoln. He needed an outlet as a pup, and there was some guys by me training for IGP, and that's how I got into it. And they also had a history of working with the Corso breed. There's a lot of people who feel that the breed can't do it, but from what I've seen many Corsos that have the ability to do it. It's just it requires a lot of patience, and it requires a handler who is up for the challenge.
Yes.
Right.
Now I also watch like in Shih Tzu, I watch where people tell their dogs make the dogs bite, and then I make them stop biting. And I think that's also very important. Like to be able to get your dog. If your dog, even if you put your dog on somebody because you had to protect yourself or to protect your family, still it's very important to be able to get your dog off as well. Um, what do you think about that aspect of the training and when they got it with the dog and hold the people with the barking with the holding? What do you think about that aspect?
Well, I think that the entire sport really is balance between power and control. It's all obedience. Even protection is obedience. Tracking is obedience. Um, so in protection, you teach the dog the exercises, and you want a powerful dog, you want an intense dog, but you can't have an out of control dog. So that's why the training is so technical, and it's a difficult sport to judge because not just to judge, to also compete in because you want that power in the bite work, but in protection, but on the other aspects of the sport. But you also need that control, like you said. So if you need the dog to out or to stop when you tell it to.
Now, is it any dogs in Pacific? Like, we already know we kind of Corso people, so I know we kind of biased, so we love our dogs so much. But is any other dogs in Pacific that you think is actually good for the shitting work?
Well, I think that the German Shepherd, it's a German Shepherd sport. I think that they are basically from a genetic, natural standpoint, they are bred for that. I think the Belgian Malinois is an amazing breed when it comes to any sport, but they do well within IGP. But I've seen a good dog is a good dog. I've seen some good Rotties. I've seen some Dobermans that do well. I've seen some Corsos that I believe could do it. It depends on again the training program, the experience of the handlers and the trainers that can bring out certain genetic traits out of the dog. Every single breed is different. Every single dog, even within a breed, is different. It's an individual dog. So you need an experienced person that is able to tap into the genetics and bring out certain behaviors out of the dog.
Right.
Makes sense.
Back to that Malinois, do you think that's a first dog for anyone to have? Is that a dog hard to train?
I see a lot of people who are inexperienced or ignorant when it comes to dogs, and they feel like the Belgian Malinois is and your question is saying it's difficult, but they feel like it's an easy dog to train because they see a trained Malinois and they see how amazing they move and the speed, and they're like, wow, I can do that. But I don't think that that's a breed for a first time owner. I mean, I don't think that most of these breeds that we're talking about are breeds for first time owners, including the Corso.
Right.
Any large aggressive breed,
Mm-hmm.
unless the person has the right environment, so the right support system, they got the right breeder, they have the right training program, trainer that they already know that they're going to work with, it's very difficult. When I breed, I try to make sure that I filter out people who just want a dog, a big, scary looking dog, because we know how much work it is to have these type of dogs and the responsibility that comes with them.
Yeah, I agree
agree.
because you get a lot of clients that want a 150-pound male Corso, and
Black.
they don't understand.
They don't even come see the dog, got the dog out there. They don't even want big. I just want black. I like come see the dogs and
Right.
Everybody wants a black male. I don't know what it is with
yeah.
a big black man.
I want the biggest. I want the biggest. If I can't get the biggest, I wait till your next leg to get the biggest.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the bad thing about that is on our couple of our pages on Facebook, we see a lot of people that within a year and a half they want to rehome the dog.
6 months. Some of them 6 months.
Well, most people, like I said, if they don't have the right training program, I feel that the trainer, the breeder as well. I got into breeding and training because my experience from the course. So when I got my dog Lincoln, I had some issues in the beginning, and I called the breeder and I told him what the dog was doing, and he told me to get a water gun and squirt the dog. And I was like, all right, man. I don't think that's gonna work. This little puppy is, he's a lot.
Right.
And the dog, when I did that, he thought I was playing with him. It just amped him up more. It didn't really do
My dog,
anything.
I got a dog that bite at the power washer. I'm like, am I trying to clean? He want to eat the
Oh, yeah,
power
he eat the
washer.
water, yeah.
Yeah.
I like, man, move out the way for you to get hurt. He don't care nothing about none of that.
Yeah, these dogs got a lot of drive, and the reason why people they rehome them is because they don't have the skills or the experience. When they first get these dogs, they don't know exactly how to create a structure for the dog, for it to be conducive to the dog, that it's going to be successful in this new. It's not the dog's fault. The dog was just born 8 weeks prior. All it knows is his mother and his little mates, and then you bring it home. The dog's going to interact with you and your kids the way it was interacting with its little mates. It's going to bite. It's going to growl. That's just the way the dog is communicating. And people don't know what to do. Now they either give the dog way too much freedom, or they stick the dog in a crate.
Right.
They're unfair to the dog. They either baby the dog, they spoil the dog, or they're unfair to the dog. They sticking their hands in the crate, yanking the dog out the crate, and then the dog, after a while, in the beginning, it might not it's like, okay, I'm gonna do whatever you want. You know, I'm small, but all of that creates these negative experiences for the dog. And
Absolutely.
one day the dog wakes up and it's fed up. Now it's showing teeth and it's lunging and it's
Mm-hmm.
growling and snapping. And these people, they don't understand that there's a lot of things that were done that led up to that. Dogs don't just end up that way from one day to the next.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of people that get dogs too that think the dog be, oh, my dog try to bite everybody. I'm like, that ain't cute. Until they, and there's a puppy that think it's cute because they dog, like say, lunging at people, trying to bite people, growling at people. Or my dog, then like I say, when they get older, they can end up, and also end up to a lawsuit. I mean, because you can't control the dog. And you tell people call you with their problems. Some people call you with their problems. My dog XYZ. I said, well, do you have a trainer? No. Well, here go the trainer number. Then they call you back 3 months later. My dog XYZ. Well, what happened to the trainer? The trainer said that sent you to. Oh, I ain't go to them yet. Why not? I mean, it is like some people just don't want to spend the money all the time and getting their dogs trained. Also, want to ask you, I'm not. Do you have young kids, or you or just
Yeah, I do. I do.
how important it is for your dog to interact with your family, your wife, your kids? How important would you say that is for
It's
people?
very important. My kids should be able to handle my dogs. They should be able to feed my dogs, give them commands. I may not necessarily have my kids do that on a daily basis, but the dog needs to understand the dynamic, the family dynamic. So, just that they're not reactive to the kids. It's part of socialization. Sometimes um, I see dogs that have issues with kids, not my dogs, but
Mhm.
I see terriers, I see other breeds that they have very high prey drive, and they've never seen a kid before. They've never
Yeah,
socialized to a kid, and now the dog sees a kid is screaming, screeching. It sounds like a prey. It sounds like prey. The dog gets locked in prey. Now it's lunging and is
get the
want to.
running. They want to pray. They want to follow because the dog people run. I got you.
And the people, they blaming the dog. And I'm not saying the dog should be doing this,
Mm,
but some certain breeds, from a genetic standpoint, they have so much prey that it's not that they want to hurt that kid. It's just the genetics kicks in. The natural instincts kicks in. All that movement, screaming from a kid, and they see it as prey. So
right.
then, for me, it's very important for dogs to be exposed to children and young children at a very young age to get used to them.
That's all right. Let's anything else you want to ask them before we get to the nuts and bolts? What we here?
No, that's about good. I just want to
All right. Well,
go over that training aspect.
let's get to the nuts and bolts. The real reason why we here and the 2023 National Championship hosted by we got it up here hosted by the Northeastern Western County Corso Group. Can you tell us a little bit about this, bro? Man, I'm excited. I can't wait to get down there and check y'all out.
Sure. So the Working Molasses United organization, which is through AWDF, American Working Dog Federation,
Mhm.
they're hosting. Well, this is the third national championship. The first one was in California. The second one last year was in North Carolina, and this year we'll be hosting it in Middletown, New York, and upstate New York.
Okay.
And we
Could you
started this club. Mhm.
could you tell us who the host will be?
The hosts are my good friends Juan and Nicole Morales and myself. We are the hosts for the event through our club, the Northeast Working County Corso Group.
Okay. You go ahead and tell us more about the event. I just want you to introduce the host, letting people know that you will be hosting it. I want everybody that can be involved. I've been sharing it on the internet, trying to get everybody involved. But anybody go out, really, I think it's going to be a great thing for the Connie Corsos and the Molasses Group. Any big dog breed for people to get out and actually see what these dogs can do, what these dogs about, the training, the hard work that y'all put in, to put this event together. So you can tell us about some things that's going to be going on at this event.
Well, this event, we're flying in a judge from Italy who's going to judge the event, the entire event. He's going to judge the IGP aspect, the Schützen aspect. He's going to judge the cow, which is a temperament test. So, which is very rare for us to have that here in the States. It doesn't require a lot of training. It's a lot of dogs that will have the natural ability. You just need to go through the scenarios a couple times. But, that's stating that it's showing what a Corso is able to do naturally, defensive to handler, engage, out, things of that nature. And that's not like IGP. It's not as technical. And then we also have, he's going to also, there's a show aspect in the show ring where he's going to judge the dogs, judge them based on the standard and give feedback on each dog.
Would it be like an age group for, or just gonna do an overall?
No, there is an age group. There's different events. You have the puppy classes for the show, 4 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, 9 to 12 months. And then you got the youth, 12 to 18 months. You got 18 to 24 months, all from separate from male and female. And then you have the adults. And then there'll be separate awards. It's just like any event you go to in the show ring.
Do the
There'll
owners
also
have
be
to register?
Excuse me?
Do the owners register online, or they can
Yeah,
just okay?
they have to register online prior to the event for any one of the exercises. There's also going to be like a fastest recall, hardest hitting, the driviest puppy. There's going to be a banquet prior to the event, banquet night. There's going to be the canine good citizen, the cow test, as I said, and there's going to be a seminar as well during the event. So it's packed with a lot of different activities and events for just any type of owner. And it's open to all breeds. It's not just open to the Corso breed, but the awards will only go out to Corsos.
Makes sense. Could you
Okay.
tell people where and when this event is taking place?
This event is taking place. It's coming up soon. It's October 6th, 7th, and 8th in Middletown, New York. The exact location, let me see, I don't want
It's the following Saturday.
Yeah,
to, so it's like a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
got you. Now, are y'all anywhere like where somebody can look you up and say look it up to when I know share up in the Facebook, is anywhere somebody you could give somebody they can see this podcast and say, hey, let me go look this up and look the event up. Is it anywhere they can look at?
The event is up on the WMU website, the Working Molasses United website. It's also on our Instagram, the Northeast Working Cane Corso Group Instagram page. We have it up on Facebook as well. So we try to have it up in as many places as possible and sharing it on social media, because this is, like I said, the third national event. And, we want to have as much people come out to support as possible, to support the breed. The reason why we started this club is because we're all enthusiasts. We love the breed, and we want to see more of the function and the workability within the breed. There's a lot of people now that they just want this type of dog, like many others, just to have it at home. And the dog is not fulfilling a purpose. And a lot of them, these dogs, you see that they end up with anxiety or with depression. You can see it in the dogs, a lot of behavioral problems because they're not getting enough mental stimulation. And, people are not meeting the dog's genetic needs, the requirements. So then you get a lot of big problems from the dogs. And our club, we don't just do IGP. We also train, protection training. We help with obedience training. We have different events, like group events, and we just ask that people just donate, just contribute to the club.
Gotcha. Where can they donate at?
We have, I believe it's there's a Venmo account, PayPal. It's a lot of different things that I could share with you if you want to put it up at the end of the podcast.
That sound good to me, bro. Sound good to me. So but like I said, I'm really excited. Like I wish I'm too bad my son's playing football, so I won't be able to make it on Saturday. But I really, really want to make the whole event. But next time we have it in the area, I would like to make the whole event. So I try to schedule my weekend, the weekend around it, and bring my. I also know my son would love to come too because he's a junior dog man himself.
Yeah, I met your son. I remember.
Yeah, yeah. He almost got his head bit off down there a couple times.
Yeah, he's not scared. He's not scared of no dogs.
But I'm really proud of what you've been doing, brother. And like it just means so much to have, and like I said, in this breeding stuff with these dogs, you meet so many good people. And I thought I knew a lot about dogs until I started meeting people like you, Charles, Evelyn. There's a lot of good people out there that actually can lead me the right way. That open up my mind more than I got a dog. I'm gonna just sit there how to sit, stay, lay, and that's it. Know what I mean, so y'all really open my eyes out, and what I'm saying, I'm glad to have the opportunity to know you. Could better call you brother. You know what I mean? Anybody around me that's I can call you, I guess, for advice and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
yeah,
I would say I've met a lot of people like yourself. I met a lot of great people through the dogs, through because of my dog Lincoln. Um, and I've learned a lot, still learning. And like I said, there's levels to this. Now I'm getting more into like the psychology behind the dog, the mentality of the dog, not just the training. So a lot of times we deal with trainers, or when we're training, we just focus so much on like the behaviors. We want the dog to do this and that. And
mhm.
now I'm starting to really learn a lot more about the psychology behind the dog. So it's not always like rushing to get the dog to do something, but making sure the dog is in the right headspace.
Yeah.
Um,
Right now, I want to ask you, whatever. Well, can I ask you what breeds of dogs do you have? Um,
um, Currently, right now, I have a Shepherd and I have Corsos. I had other Shepherds, but prior to that, growing up, like I said, my father he bred Rotties.
yes.
At some point, we had boxers, and I had pit bulls as well.
So
Um,
you, so you have four Connie Corsos. So you got
right
yeah.
now, currently, I have four
Okay.
countries.
So and so you are a breeder, right?
Yes,
Okay. How long have you been breeding?
3 years now.
Okay. How many litters have you produced for your 3 years?
I have two litters, and right now, actually, we Juan and Nicole, who are hosting this event, we have a litter. We bred Lincoln to their female
Okay.
currently right now.
Is it a working female?
It is a worker female. She actually is
Okay.
titled in
Uh,
IGP. Yeah,
so this gonna be a nice litter here. So
I believe this is probably the best litter. Even though I don't have the female in the pups, I believe so.
it's supposed your next litter supposed to be even the best litter. If you ain't breeding to have the best litter every time, then you waste your time breeding because we always want to produce better than we did the last time. Um, could you tell me one of the most important things about breeding that you've got for your program that you think is important?
Well, like I said, I have a certain a vision and a certain perspective on the breed. So I also want to breed that caliber of dog. But aside from that, is more so providing support to the owners, because a lot of these people, even if they have experience with dogs, um, and even if they have experience with the breed, there's certain things that as a breeder you could provide a lot of information and a lot of support. Um, Even if they have other dogs, like you said, you got to call somebody up, and you're able to. It's lifetime support. Somebody buys a pup from you, you want to make sure that the pup does well, that they're successful with the dog. Um, and that's one of the main things that as a breeder I take pride in. But it's also again what I want to, the type of dog that I want to produce. I want to see those type of dogs, and I also want people to experience those type of dogs.
Yeah, true. Now, what do you look for other than working? What do you look for, like when you picking a dog to breed? Other than, or do or all your dogs have to be working prospects?
Well, I mean, I think the breed is a working breed. So to me, like when I look at a corso, so it's supposed to have the ability to work. It's just when you choose breeding stock, I think that no dog is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's more so the match. It's the compatibility between both dogs, like what they bring to the table. Because you want them to complement each other. So, it could be not necessarily size, but it could be structure. It could be movement. It could be sometimes, you bring in there's certain things lacking. You want to strong the head, the expression, the head type. A lot of things, the muzzle. Now I'm talking about aesthetics, the way the dog looks. But those things are important because form follows function, and then the more importantly is like the drives of the dog, the temperament of the dog. You want a confident dog. I personally like an independent dog, but that's not for everybody because an independent dog requires more work to bond with the dog and just handling the dog because the dog naturally was born independent. You're not going to get a lot of those in the litter, but that dog doesn't really need you. It doesn't. It's so confident. It doesn't feel that it needs you. So you got to
Right.
deal with that dog differently. But I like that. That's why I like my male Lincoln when he brings to breedings. He also reproduces himself, not necessarily the independence and that level of like indifference, but the confidence and the drive
Yeah.
and things of that nature.
That sounds good. And other thing, do you have like, do you stud linking out? I know you just sort of Nicole. That's different. If you do you actually stud linking out? And if you do the female have to have certain characteristics before you stud it out to that person?
Well, I mean, this is the first time that I bred Lincoln to an outside female,
Mm.
but I really like the female. I really like. I seen her work in person. I seen the pedigree, but your perspective changes. Like your vision changes over time, depending on
Right.
your experiences. And Huang. When I met Huang, I've met a lot of people through Huang and Nicole, and I met Marisha Stewart, which is doing great things in the breed. She just competed last year at a national level with a Corso, which is not
Okay.
the first time because she did it back, and I think it was 2012 with a female named Gia, which was the mother to the male that she just competed with. But I met Marisha and I met her training helper Tyrone, and he made a comment that males are the studs are what pushes the genetics out in the breed because all breeders get females.
Right.
We all have
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's what makes a breeding program.
Right.
But in the past, I had a mentality like, oh, I didn't want to stud Lincoln out because
You know,
I wanted to keep the blood to myself, or I don't want to produce. I don't want him to have pups with a female, and then people don't like the pups or whatever they may be, and they'll blame him. But when I
Right.
had that conversation with Tyrone, it really changed my perspective. Where if you think you got a really good stud, you should be studying him out. You should be breeding him to outside females, outside kennels, because you want to be able to, if especially I've bred him 3 times now and I see what he produces. You want those type of dogs out there if you want to
Right.
breed
Right.
to be um, a
Especially if
more
you,
balanced dog, a more complete dog. So yes, I am open to studying out
Yeah.
to
yeah,
out.
because if he reproducing himself, that's a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's phenomenal.
Yeah. You just want to watch. Be careful who you get that to. You know what I mean? So I know if you do stuff, you definitely know that you just don't want everybody to actually have that and not do nothing with it. And like I said, you don't want to, because if you know Lincoln got that drive, he's a real good dog because he listens, but he got that drive. You can't like give it to the wrong person, get it in the wrong person's hands because
Right.
it can get dangerous. You know what I mean?
But a
Well, I
So
lot
think
of
all
clients
dogs have.
get that
yeah,
though.
so everybody got to kind of vet the person that you messing with,
Yeah,
dealing with.
because people
All
look at it
those
like, what
have
about that?
some all those guys, especially, I mean, all working breeds, they got some type of drive, but you got to cultivate that drive. You got to build that drive. And I'm not saying that. I know Lincoln, I got him always lean about 105, somewhere between 105 and 115 pounds. But at one point, I had Lincoln at over 130 pounds.
Okay.
And my wife loved the way he looked, but that drive really wasn't there at 130 plus. It's there, but it's not the same, because now he just like us. We eat a certain way, we a little more relaxed. So a lot of it has to do with the environment he goes in.
Mhm.
So what do you think about the state like? Because everybody's that became a breeder now. So what do you think about the state of the county corsos like? Because there's a lot of if you realize, I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen. I'm pretty sure you have, but it's a lot of shaky dogs out here. It's a lot of dogs that are scary. What do you think we could do to fix that, or what do you think about it?
I think that with any breed, the breed is relatively a newer breed. It was only recognized by AKC, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, and the standard was only created. What, I don't think it's been 40 years.
Yeah,
So
something like that. I think they've been doing it over 40 years.
it could have been the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
So whenever that happens, now a lot more people start, because it makes the breeds become more popular. And
Right.
then what happens is that people, they want to make money. They want to jump on the money train.
Right.
And now it over saturates the market. But the reason why that's a problem is because you got people who are really breeding the right way. The breeding practices are there. They're producing stable dogs, but it's harder for them to sell their dogs because you got other people who are selling dogs for $200, $500, and there's no real work behind their breeding program.
Right.
So now people don't want to buy better dogs because they're saying, why would I buy that dog when I could get a dog for a quarter of the price, or even less? And that's why I think the problem is with all these people breeding. Also when people are breeding, when you ask them why did they do that breeding, what were they trying to accomplish? A lot of people, they can't really speak to, aside from color and size, they can't really speak to why they did the breeding. What did the female bring to the table? What did the male bring to the table? What were you looking to accomplish with the breeding? And most of the potential buyers or clients out there, they're not thinking about this.
No. A lot of clients right now, like you say, they chasing color. Some of them don't even ask you to see the pedigree. Some only know the pedigree is. They don't know what line they're looking at. But you do have some people that actually sit back and study other breeders. Just like when you go and buy a car, they go look at other lots before they purchase.
Yeah.
Like you said, some people sell them for $500-$700, but there's no customer service behind it. It's just kind of like you bought the dog and you never talk to the breeder again.
Right.
And that's where you get those dogs where you get a dangerous dog, or you get a dog that needs attention and nobody's there to help you. And it gives I feel like sometimes it gives the breed a bad name.
Well, absolutely. They call people like us because they talk to us and we give them all the information that comes, but a lot of them won't come out to see the dog. Or the first thing they ask you when they see the dog price, which is a good question, because if I'm gonna spend some money, I need to know how much was spent. But a lot of people don't even want to come out and see the dog. So, and then a lot of people are getting scammed just because they won't actually come out and see a dog. Like people are lazy these days. Like they just don't want to put the work in. They just want a dog so they can say they got a dog.
Yeah, and I understand. Say for instance, here's an area, like if you got a client in New York or overseas, might say. I get that.
Like I bought dogs from overseas,
right?
And I didn't actually go see them in person.
So the virtual communication and the videos and all that from a breeder should always be there to connect with that individual. And like with your son Donnie, it's a lot when a breeder or a client, because other breeders buy from other breeders, but when they see the communication and the action with kids that you're doing, that's something big, you know.
Yeah. But also, I just think people need some people. Man, some New York, I don't see that being too far. If I didn't know Josais and I see him on the internet selling dogs and got puppies, I'm gonna ride up to New York because I didn't took 10-hour ride. You didn't took 10-hour ride to go see the dog that you want if you really interested in a puppy.
Yeah, if you're really interested.
I'm gonna go.
But I'm just saying, some people I do know are very, they say
Lazy.
very busy or
Lazy.
some lazy.
Yeah.
But some people, they say, oh well, you see the dog and you see the crop on the ears and you see the tails dark and you be like, I'm ready to purchase.
Yeah.
But you don't see the work of the stud or the work of the
what goes all the work put into
the program,
right?
And that's important because
like I said, also like good because like with certain breeders, because like some of the breeders out there, that if I'm gonna get a puppy, I probably can tell like, hey, Josiah, I need a dog. I'm trying to fix this muzzle. I'm trying to fix this. My dog, this ain't right. That ain't right. Can you pick a puppy for me?
Right.
Because I know I could trust that he's gonna get me
gonna
the
give
best
you the right judgment,
the best representation of what he have to help to fix what I need to fix.
Right.
Know what I mean?
And that's like what Josiah was saying earlier. That's about leadership. Like
Right.
if you leading if you leading your brand and you leading your program, then you should be able to.
Yeah. So what do you think about people getting scammed? Have you heard of a lot of people getting scammed?
I have. I've heard of it online. People.
Yeah.
I would say never send your money to somebody online. Unless they're a reputable breeder, their reputation, and people who purchase dogs from them, or if you've spoken to them. If you're gonna send them a deposit, I wouldn't necessarily do that. I've imported 3 dogs from Italy. I haven't had an issue with it, but I did a lot of research. I spoke to a lot of people here in the States who imported from those breeders. But it is, it's a risk. Now, there's people here sending money to people on Craigslist or things like that, and then they're getting scammed.
Viral pictures going around. Everybody.
Yeah.
You gotta do your research. I prefer to meet up with people in person if I'm looking to buy a dog.
Yeah, I like to touch. I like to be able to go see and bring my family to the grounds of where I'm getting a puppy from.
Now, can I ask you, what's the best dog breed in your opinion?
I don't necessarily like to use the word best. Even I used it earlier. Like this might be the best breed, and like and I thought about it. I don't like necessarily using the word best or better because everything is about preference. So I follow a lot of breeders, and you got breeders who are relatively new, and then you got breeders who's been doing it for a long time, and the breeding programs that I've seen stick out, that's been doing it for decades. You got Shauna DeMoss at Castle Guard. You Tony Scandy.
Yeah, that's right.
You got Derek Matson.
Yeah.
You got these people in the breed. I don't want to. I'm not purposely leaving anybody out, but by me, I got a good friend of mine, Carlos Colon, who's been breeding for about 3 decades, and from Ravalli, Cane Corso. And from a working aspect, my preference of the type of drives and temperament in his dogs, I've seen a lot of his dogs in person. I've seen them work. A lot of his dogs were titled. So, you got a lot of these breeders. You got Bodyguard out here and Poconos and PA. They was from New York originally. They got their breeding program was built around Mufasa, the first dog here in the States. Recognized Corso. There's some people that say there was Corsos before that, but they wasn't recognized. If they were, you don't know if they were mixed with something else. But that dog was the first one to get an IGP. Back then it was an IPO3. And they had other dogs titled. So it's as a breeder, both of you are breeders. You know that when you developing, you're building your breeding program, there's certain things you want to bring to the table. So you want to go to a breeder or you want to use a stud. If you want to bring in, like, let's just say, you don't want to talk about size, but if you want more bone, if you want size, if you want movement, if you want a better structure, if you want to stay away from certain colors, if you don't want to breed a dilute to a dilute, or you just don't want to breed to dilutes because of the skin problems. So you got to do your research, and then you got to see who you're going to go with or who you're going to buy a female from. So it's not necessarily best. It's just preference.
Oh, I want to put you on the spot. I want to ask the breed. That's the best breed of dog. I'm sorry. I was trying to say,
Best breed of dog?
What's your best breed of dog? I guess
I thought you said breeder.
No,
I thought you said breeder.
Because I don't want nobody to get mad. People getting their feelings easily. Like you say.
Well, I would say the same thing for breed of dog. I see dogs as individuals. We could generalize.
Right.
But I like German Shepherds. I like a good Dobie. I've seen some nice Dobermans, people I've been around. I love the Roddy. I love Roddies. I've seen some good Roddies. Of course, the Malleys. Corso, again, it comes down to preference. Me, I preferred the Corso. That's why I went with a Corso based on my research, based on my experience with other breeds. But like if I'm doing Schutzen, if I'm doing IGP, you got the German Shepherd. You have other breeds. Not necessarily the Corso can't do it. I got a Shepherd, actually. You spoke about Charles. I met Charles at your event.
Yeah.
And he saw Lincoln and he was like, wow, I really like this dog. This is your first dog. He's like, you did some good things with this dog. He said, you need to get a Shepherd. He was like the second person ever, and everybody kept telling me, you need to get a Shepherd. You need to get a Shepherd if you really want to do IGP. And then I said I would never get a Shepherd. I ended up getting a Shepherd.
You got a nice giant snouts up there too. Nice one.
Charles.
Yeah. I've seen, they got American Bulldogs, they're amazing dogs, Schnauzers. They got a lot of these what's called off breeds because they're not Shepherds. So any other breed is not a Shepherd. They call them an off breed. That competes in the sport. But I've seen some really nice dogs. And to me, the right dog, a good dog is a good dog. So it doesn't necessarily have to be any specific breed. You could just tell by a dog, even from a young age. You've bred litters, so you could tell when a dog just has that.
That's it. You're right.
That swag to them, that confidence, and then they just have a presence to them. So that's what I like to see in a dog. I like to see a dog that has a presence around the other dogs, around people. They're very confident, come up to you, just have real good drive to. So it's not necessarily any one specific breed, but I am a Corso guy.
Yeah, so I knew it was kind of biased. All right, we just we don't want to hold you too much longer. We want to ask you one question, man. If there's any word of advice that you could share with people out in the dog world that could help them get by, what would it be?
I mean, you got to have the right team, the right environment, to be successful when it comes to the dog. I mean, in any discipline, it doesn't have to be dog sports or just even owning a dog. You need to have the right breeder. You need to have the right training environment, and you need to be ready for the challenge. It's a three-pronged approach. You got to do your research and be ready to step in and do whatever it needs to be done for the dog to be successful, regardless what you got the dog for, what the purpose is. Make sure you go with the right breeder that's going to help you accomplish that. And training is very important. You don't got to train like 3 times a week, but you got to make sure that you have somebody available to you that can answer the phone and that could guide you, because you need a team around.
Yes, you do. Anything you want to ask them?
No, I just wanted to say about the training, because I know I'm hard on training. I'd be telling people, even if you take 30 minutes or an hour a day, that's better than anything.
Right.
Because a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time. I'm like, if you give a dog attention 1 hour a day, that goes a long way.
I mean, on a young dog, you could start with 2 to 3 minutes. A very young dog, because some people don't, they think they don't have the time, but when a dog is so young, you know, their attention span is so small. They can't really, you lose the dog. So in the beginning, couple minutes, you just got to be very structured with your time, very deliberate with your time. This is what we're going to work on. Because I see people that they tell me they train their dogs, and when you speak to them about what they're doing, they just confusing their dogs. They're doing a lot. They're doing a lot of nothing. Because you know, dogs are not like us.
Right,
But people talk to them and treat them like they're humans, and you got to make everything as clear as possible to a dog. It got to be super black and white. If I tell you to do something, if I tell you the dog to do something, you got to make sure that the dog fully understands.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people, they don't have the patience, and they also say they don't have the time. But in order to teach a dog, especially a young dog, you're getting a puppy at 8 weeks old, you don't need more than 2 to 5 minutes sessions. You could do 3 of those a day, 15 minutes. But you know, that's why I said it's very important to have the right team and the right environment. Because if you got knowledgeable, educated people around you, they can help guide you where it's not necessarily, they're not going to overcomplicate it. Because now with the internet, you know, I've been there. You could look up things and you could just make things a lot more complicated than they need to be. Watching all these videos, reading all this stuff. You got the right people around you. You have the right people guiding you, leading you, the right mentors when it comes to any aspect of life. That's what's really you're gonna be successful.
Makes sense.
Absolutely.
All right, man. We also like after y'all have y'all event, I'm looking. Actually, we gonna come visit you on the when you one weekend. We ain't doing nothing, and check your dogs out and check you out. If y'all got some training going on down there too, we'll check you out. But after the event, we want to also have you, maybe Nicole, come back and tell us how the event went and who won, and you know, just give us some input on your event. Is that okay with you?
No, that's cool. We should definitely also come out to you guys out in Maryland. We should do, our club should come out.
Yeah, please.
We you know, showcase some of the dogs. We test some of your dogs, whatever it is you guys want to work on. That would be cool. There's a lot of course people in Maryland. I've been out there a few times. I've been to Misfit Canine event where I seen some corsos there. I visited Sharon Sintra at Ivy League. I seen her kennel set up. It was really, really nice. She got some great dogs. So I've been to Maryland. I went to your event. I met you and Reggie. I've been to Maryland a few times just to, you know, see some corsos.
Right. Also, could you tell us the people where they can find you at on like Instagram, Facebook, if they want to reach out and talk to you personally, or look at one of the great puppies you have coming out of your new letter?
You know, you could look me up on Facebook just by my name. It's there on the screen. I'm also on Instagram. Everything on my Facebook will send you wherever you know, it has all my pages there. We also have a page for the club, the Northeast Working County Coastal Group, on Instagram. You could speak to Nicole on there, myself or Huang. And the puppies, my kennel, Armageddon County Coastal Kennels. There's a page on Instagram. You can reach out to me, but Lincoln was just used as a stud. You would have to go to Mormax Kennels, which is the kennel, the breeding program that Nicole and Huang own. You could also reach out to Marisha because she produced the female that Huang and Nicole own and titled, that but Lincoln was bred to that female.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man. Look, I'm glad you gave us the time today. We really appreciate you, taking the time away from your wife. I know you worked the dogs earlier, so you ain't been home that long. So we really appreciate the time, and thank you for allowing us to have you on our podcast.
Thank you for having me, man.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you later. I get a call probably later on this week. Let you know when we can put it out.
All right. Thanks. You guys have a good one.
All right, you too, brother.
All right. Good night.